Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Burl Van Jr. and I'm the professor for this course. This course is PA 606, Seminar in Quantitative Techniques. I am an assistant professor of criminal justice here at SDSU. This is my third year as an assistant professor, and I'm glad to see you um, completing out your degree here. I am mainly teaching the methods and stats series for MPA students or graduate students. So I'm glad that you get to see me, but I also teach in the areas of law and society. My work tends to center on drug and marijuana policy change, and social movements and policy change. So that's a bit about me, and again, welcome to PA 606. So let's dive right into the course material here. We see that we have the course website here. Your front page should be this. It should outline everything you need. You have some course information here. This is an asynchronous course. Here's your schedule number. Make sure that you're taking a look at the syllabus. In this course, we're going to learn how to run stats using RStudio. You're going to learn how to develop programming skills that are transferable to other platforms, and hopefully you can use these skills that you develop in this class to move up in whatever company or organization that you're already in, or take these skills with you to some other group. I will note that I do not use a plus minus grading scale in this class, so just keep that in mind. Right, a little bit about me. I already said I'm in criminal justice here at San Diego State. I study how social movements impact policy and the predictors of marijuana policy change. Here's some things that I love, and then here's my contact information, which I'll get into when we look at the syllabus here. So here's the course syllabus and seminar in quant. This class is asynchronous, so it's really make sure that you make time for this class. We will not be meeting for this class, so make sure that you make time to look over the material, like the chapters that we're reading or the slides that I developed for the chapters, or more importantly, the videos that I developed for the slides that I developed for those chapters, right? And I say that on purpose because the videos are going to be most important. As you all may know, stats is a language to describe stuff going on in the social world. And when we, as social scientists, want to understand stuff about the social world, we start talking about relationships between aspects of society. And those aspects, for us, are called variables, right? So we want to understand, interpret, and draw conclusions about society from quantitative or statistical data, and specifically analysis of those data. In this class, we're going to cover some things that you may have covered in your undergrad stats courses. We're going to cover univariate stuff like levels of measurement, central tendency, measures of dispersion or variability, the normal curve scores, and confidence intervals. Then we're going to move to bivariate stuff like t-tests, ANOVA, chi-square, and correlation. And then we'll end the class with multivariate techniques or multivariable techniques, including regressions like OLS regression, linear regression, and then if we have time, I'll provide some materials for binary or outcomes like logistic regression or count outcomes like Poisson and negative binomial, but we won't specifically get there. Um, Here's my contact info. Again, Dr. Berlin Jr. Here's my email address. And then is my office hours information. I will be meeting by Zoom, but make sure that you make an appointment. I will meet on Wednesdays from 1 to 3 by appointment only. And once you read my emailing policy or office hour policy, you'll know that I require 72 hours of response. So make sure that you take a look at my emailing policy for that. The book for this class. So I may provide some articles for this class or book chapters. You'll see in the modules that there are examples of statistical tests using articles, but those are recommended reads for those who are interested in that. But for this class, I require one textbook, and that is Statistical Methods for Psychology by David Howell. You might be wondering why psychology, but it's less about the discipline and more about how the statistical techniques are described in this textbook. So I've used many stats textbooks in the past, but I always find myself coming back to this textbook, a textbook that I used during undergrad for an advanced stats class. Um, and I say that to say I spent maybe 10 years ago, I spent 10, less than $10 on this textbook because it was an older edition. And I still find myself coming back to that. So I want you to take that to heart. Please find a version of this textbook. It can be a newer edition or an older edition, but don't spend too much money on it. If you can find it for $1, that's great. If you can find it for cheaper than that, great. Do not go out and try to pick up the most recent version of this book. Remember, this book is not the Bible. It is a reference source for you. I want you to be able to look back at it when you have questions about, well, the specific statistical test. I know we talked about these diagnostics, but are there others, right? This book is a good resource for that because you can check how Howell describes these additional tests, right? So pick up a copy. In this class, you will need access to technology. Specifically, you will need access to a computer. We are working online. This is an asynchronous class. We're working through Zoom and Canvas, so you'll need to have access to some kind of computer. I say calculator here, but because we're going to do everything in a statistical software platform, you don't necessarily need a calculator, but you do need access to Google Drive. You will be submitting all of your assignments via Google Drive, specifically Google Docs. So if you don't have access to your SDSU Google Drive, then I won't be able to grade your assignment and you won't get credit for those assignments, right? I say that on purpose. You need access to your SDSU Google Drive. I've had many students create a document in their own personal Gmail account or their undergrad Gmail account, and then try to link it to their SDSU account and then link it as an assignment. I can't grade those assignments. I can't see those assignments because I have access to SDSU network. So make sure that you have access to your SDSU Google Drive and that when you're creating these Google Docs, they are there in your SDSU account. And then finally, RStudio. This is an open source program. I know many of you have used maybe SPSS in undergrad or even Stata or SAS in undergrad, but all of those are very expensive programs. So if you are interested in doing quantitative work outside of having access to SDSU, you need something that's either cheap or free. And luckily, RStudio is free. So the things that you're going to learn in this class are going to be transferable outside of the classroom, right? So you can take this with you and be able to run statistical tests at home beyond being a student. And you'd be developing programming skills that you can translate to jobs, which I think is a benefit. Again, grading scale. I don't use a plus minus grading scale. So it's straightforward grades. You have a bunch of different learning checks, a lot of them happening during week 1 and week 2, right? Google Doc submissions, email policy, make sure you download R&R Studio, updating your profile, submitting a video introduction for other students to see so we know who you are, and then a bivariate quiz. Course engagement, basically just showing up, reading the material, engaging with the material, downloading the slides, watching the videos, right? That's engagement, right? And then 50% of your grade, half of your grade comes from 4 portfolios, right? I do want to point out that I'm very lenient when it comes to grading, so if you do request a regrade, please know that there is the possibility of getting a lower grade on an assignment, so keep that in mind. Course engagement, just show up, read the stuff. Course prep, I talked about that already, but then the 4 portfolios. So these portfolios are worth 100 points, 25 points each, and they're due every other week in this class. I want you to think of these portfolios as short projects. And in these projects, you're going to be provided with a data set and asked to perform some kind of test. So the first one, you're going to be doing some univariate analysis, like looking at mean, median, mode, looking at frequency, distribution, so on and so forth. Second one, you're looking at t-tests and ANOVAs. That's what bivariate techniques. The third, also bivariate, you're looking at correlation and chi-square. And then the fourth one, is looking at OLS regression. So you're going to be asked to run these techniques and then interpret the findings through extensive write-ups. So these aren't just one-page assignments, right? There are about 5 to 10 questions on each portfolio, and you have to really dig deep, right? I'll ask about why did you choose this diagnostic test for this statistical analysis, and you have to describe why did we do this thing. Because these are extensive write-ups, instead of asking you to do it on your own, I encourage, highly recommend, maybe even force y'all to work in groups. Now, I know many of you might not be keen on working in groups, but I will say when it comes to statistical analysis or even numbers in general, people tend to be a little bit more fearful of quantitative statistical analysis, so stats is sometimes scary. So it's always nice to have other folks working with you on things, right? Let's say you have one person who's very comfortable talking about the diagnostics of why you would run a t-test, but you are very comfortable running the analysis and interpreting the findings of a t-test, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could pair up and then, bolster your findings, your report, your portfolio, by sort of tag teaming it? You get one end, I get the other end, right? So that's why I do this. I decide to have y'all work in groups. I say work in groups of no more than 5 students, and you will be submitting one portfolio for that group. So everybody's name needs to be on that portfolio. And just tell me when you submit the portfolio, make sure every student in that group's name is on it, the portfolio number, maybe give it an interesting title if you think that that's important. But yeah, I highly suggest working in groups. Actually, in Module 1, you'll be completing a form, a Google Sheet, where you're going to sign up to work with others. So you can see who's in whose group, and you can sign up to work collaboratively. In extreme circumstances, though, like I will allow people to work individually, but I suggest against it. Here's information for adding and dropping. I'm sure you've all met the prereqs for this course. Please don't cheat, right? We have ways of dealing with that. If you are a student with special needs or you need access to resources, please reach out to Student Ability Success Center to make sure that you receive the required accommodations, because without anything from them, I can't provide those accommodations for you. So make sure you reach out to them, and then I'll be informed. We also have CAPS on campus. If you want to talk to a psychologist or a counselor, make sure you have access to this number or a live chat. The Writing Center is still open, so undergrads and grads alike can have access to that. I reserve the right to make changes to material, so if we are moving too fast or too slow, I'm happy to move things along, change things as necessary. Oftentimes we're not moving too fast. Sometimes we need a little bit more time on topics, so I'm happy to alter the amount of assignments or the pace at which we're moving in the class. So I'll do check-ins with you to make sure that we're understanding things. Here's a breakdown of what we're going to do every week. Portfolios are due on weeks 2, 4, 6, and 8. You're going to be watching a video, reading some guides this week, and then turning in some things. And you'll also be reading chapters 1, 2, and 3 in Howl. So you have the opportunity to either read the chapters in the book. Some of you may not have the book already, so that's okay. You have the opportunity to read the book, or alternatively, number 2, read the slides, which are based on the chapters in the book, right? It's a distilled version of what I've taken to be important content from the book. Or beyond that, which is what I highly recommend, is watching the videos of those slides from the book, right? So the videos are essentially just lectures that I've given from the slides from the book over the past couple of years. Um, I have Zoom links in many of the modules from the classes that I was teaching these with, but I'm converting those to YouTube videos. So right now I've converted chapters 1 and 2. Tonight and tomorrow I will be converting chapter 3, so you'll have lecture 3 there. But that means we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more videos to watch during this course, and I'll make sure that I get those done in a timely manner for everybody. But yeah, that is all the material for this course. Again, centered around those 4 portfolios, so make sure you sign up for a group as soon as possible. I think that's it. If there are any questions about the modules or anything, or any questions that you have about the course, or you need clarification for something, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you might have. All right. Thank you so much, y'all, and I look forward to meeting you and working with you during this entire term.